Today's lesson is ChatGPT, Miracle or Menace? Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And my name is Helen.
And in today's program, we're going to be talking about something that you probably have already heard about. It's some kind of program on the internet called ChatGPT. I'm sure you're very familiar with this, Helen.
Well, I've heard of it. I've heard about it quite a lot recently because there has been a lot of talk about ChatGPT. Or should I say there's been a lot of chat about ChatGPT. And a lot of this talk centers on whether ChatGPT is beneficial or whether it brings harm to society, or a bit of both.
Right, so I've heard about this in terms of college students using it to help them write their term papers and stuff like that, and not really writing them themselves, and the professors can't really tell the difference. And also, it may become something difficult for people if it takes over their jobs. Okay, if you're a writer or an editor, this particular interface, this particular program might actually take away your job. So let's get to it and let's find out what this is all about. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson and we'll be right back.
ChatGPT, Miracle or Menace? Unless you've been living under a rock recently, you've probably heard about ChatGPT. Released by OpenAI, a company focused on developing artificial intelligence, AI, ChatGPT is a program that can generate complex text which is just as good as that written by humans.
So the title of today's lesson is ChatGPT, Miracle or Menace. Here we have a comparison of two qualities, two definitions. A miracle, of course, is something that's good, something that's not likely to happen, impossible, but something that's positive. A menace, on the other hand, is something that's dangerous or that can cause harm. So we could also say, for instance, that the criminal is considered a menace to society. This person brings danger and harm to society. And that's the question. Is ChatGPT a miracle or can it be a menace to society?
Yep, is it a good thing or a bad thing? And here in the first paragraph it says, unless you've been living under a rock recently, you've probably heard about ChatGPT. So yes, if you have been living under a rock, that just means you're just kind of ignorant about things. You don't listen to the news. You don't talk to a lot of people, so you don't know a lot of information that's going around. But if you haven't been living under a rock, then of course you've probably heard about ChatGPT. Most people have heard of this by now.
Released by OpenAI, a company focused on developing artificial intelligence, or AI, ChatGPT is a program that can generate complex text, which is just as good as that written by humans. So we learned from this sentence that ChatGPT is a program and it was released by OpenAI. So OpenAI is a company that develops artificial intelligence, and this company released the program. So when you release something, you make it available. You can also use release in other contexts, such as the band released a new album.
Right, I could say the band released their first album way back in 1964 or something like that. And in this particular case, this program was released by OpenAI, and that is a company that is focused on developing artificial intelligence, or AI. And you've probably heard about that in terms of the letters AI. It's a lot simpler to say it that way, but AI stands for artificial intelligence. It's not natural intelligence from people. It's actually intelligence made from machines or computers. Now, ChatGPT is a program that can generate complex text, which is just as good as that written by humans. So this is all telling us what ChatGPT is. It's a program and it can generate complex text or complex text, you can say it both ways. To generate just means to create. For example, we're always thinking of new ways to generate electricity. Are we going to use petroleum? Are we going to use solar power or nuclear power? Those are ways to generate electricity.
Yes, and the word generate is also often used in the area of the economy and finance. You can say that a company like Apple generates a lot of money every year, and the company also generates a lot of jobs because it needs new people to come in and create things and work on new projects. So the company generates both jobs and income and profit.
Indeed. And of course, what this program does, it creates complex text, which is basically an article or a term paper or a thesis or whatever. And in a lot of cases, it can be just as good as something written by humans. And that is a concern because people nowadays have the opportunity to use this program to write things without actually writing it themselves. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the second part. We will listen to it first.
The AI was trained on around 300 billion words of written material collected from the internet. This included books and articles on all kinds of topics and in all kinds of styles. Using this data, the AI was taught to recognize patterns in text. This enabled it, in turn, to predict which words should come next when given a word or string of words. After being refined over time with human feedback, the AI has learned to give extremely impressive responses to almost any request.
大家好，我们来介绍第二部分中的动词 enable， 它的意思是使能够、使可能。例如 Your help enabled me to finish the project on time. 你的帮忙让我能及时完成这件案子。又或者说 Brian's job enabled him to travel much of the world. Brian 的工作让他能够旅行世界各地。另外，补充这个字的反义词 disable， D-I-S-A-B-L-E， disable， 它是动词，意思是使失去能力或使失效，使伤残。例如 Vincent's injury disabled him from dancing ever again. Vincent 所受的伤使他再也不能跳舞了。或者Albert disabled notifications on his phone. Albert 关闭了他手机上的通知。再来，我们看到动词 predict， 它的意思是预料或预测或预言。例如 Nobody could predict that the stock market would fall. 没有人能预料到股市会下跌。又或者说 The weatherman predicted a storm for this afternoon, but the skies are clear. 天气预报员预测今天下午会有暴风雨，但天空很晴朗。另外 predict 加上字尾 ion 就会变成名词 prediction。例如 William's prediction on who would win the race turned out to be correct. William 那个关于谁将赢得比赛的预测是正确的。又或者说 The future is uncertain, and all we can do is try to make informed predictions. 未来是无法确定的，而我们唯一能做的就是试着做出有根据的预测。下一个，我们看到单字 refine， 它是动词，指的是改善或改良、提炼。例如 The engineers refined their design to make it more practical. 工程师改良他们的设计，使之更实用。或是 The plant refines crude oil into several different petroleum products. 那座工厂将原油提炼成多种不同的石油制品。再来，我们看到名词 feedback， 指的是反馈资料或回馈意见。例如 Customer feedback can help a company improve its product and services. 客户的回馈可以帮助公司改善产品和服务。又或者说 The teacher provides detailed feedback on each assignment so that students can improve. 这位老师对每项作业都提出详细的回馈，以便学生改进。
So now let's find out how ChatGPT actually works. Well, the AI was trained on around 300 billion words of written material collected from the internet. So we know that when we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about something that involves training. So even though artificial intelligence is intelligence that's artificial, that's man-made, that's not natural or human, it still relies on human intelligence because humans need to train AI to develop this artificial intelligence. And one way to do it is to run a lot of words, a lot of data through AI so that it learns this new material that it will use later on to generate intelligence. And in the case of ChatGPT, 300 billion words of written material or text or words were collected from the internet, and it was run by ChatGPT.
Right, so they have all this information in a database, and when you use ChatGPT, the program will access that data and help you write something, and you won't have to write it yourself, but you do have to provide some basic information. You have to tell it basically what you want, and again, this particular program, was trained on lots of words from the internet. To be trained on just means it was using these things to train it. For example, you might be trained to do a job. If you don't know how to do it, you will be trained on the ways the job is done. And in this particular case, this material included books and articles on all kinds of topics and in all kinds of styles. So we not only have the information regarding various topics, but we also have different styles of writing. Indeed, there are different ways to express yourself using writing.
And using this data, the AI was taught to recognize patterns in text. So ChatGPT used the data that was fed to it, and it was able to recognize certain patterns. So the patterns could refer to sentence patterns or patterns of thought or patterns of imagery, basically an understanding of the human pattern of thought. And this enabled it in turn to predict which words should come next when given a word or string of words.
This sounds to me similar to predictive text when you're texting people on your phone. If you write a word, then it will give you lots of suggestions based on the common words that often follow that word. Like if you write the word thank, it will suggest the words you or God or goodness, and then you have to pick which one that you want to say. So it's probably very similar to that. And again, it's taught to recognize those patterns in the text. And this enabled it in turn to predict which words should come next when given a word or string of words. To enable just means to allow something to do something. So indeed, it has this database, and that allows it or enables the program to predict which words will come next based on statistics.
Right. So for the word enable, I could also say learning a new language will enable you to communicate with more people. So AI is taught to recognize patterns in texts, and this enables AI in turn to predict which word should come next. So here we have the phrase in turn, and in turn basically means as a result of something that was already mentioned or something that's a part of a series of events. And I could say, for instance, my mother taught me how to cook, and I, in turn, will teach my son how to cook.
Indeed. And yes, indeed, the word to predict means to make an educated guess about what's going to happen next. Like at the end of the year, we have lots of people making predictions, or they're going to predict what will happen in the new year. And that's what this program does. It enables the program to predict which words will come next. And, of course, you're given a word or a string of words. A string of just means a series of words. It could be a whole sentence. It could be a phrase. And then the program predicts which will come next. And after being refined over time with human feedback, the AI has learned to give extremely impressive responses to almost any request. So here we've got the word to refine, which means to make something better. Okay, so when you develop a new product, for example, if you're working for a company, the first prototype is going to have some problems, and then over time you work on it, you improve it, you refine that product.
Right. You make small changes to it to make it better over time. And after being refined over time, with human feedback, the AI has learned to give extremely impressive responses to almost any request. So how was ChatGPT refined? Well, over time, it was refined with human feedback. Feedback in general refers to comments that people make about how well or how badly somebody is doing something, such as performing a job. So you might receive feedback from your teacher or your manager, your boss, about how you're doing. And usually you can use this feedback to improve your performance, to do better, because you can learn from feedback. But in this context, which is almost the same, ChatGPT refines its own production, its own function, with the feedback that it receives from humans.
And remember, this word feedback is a non-count noun, so please do not put an S at the end of this word. You're going to get feedback from your classmates or from your teacher on your recent speech or whatever. Do not add an S to this word. That is wrong. So yes, indeed, they give this program some requests, and then the program produces some text, and humans look at it, and they think, well, there's a problem there, there's a problem here, so let's make some changes. Of course, they have the feedback, and then the program gets refined over time. And after some time, the AI program has learned to give extremely impressive responses to almost any request. So it's getting better and better all the time. It's not perfect. Of course, we've heard of examples of it writing some silly things or providing information that just isn't true, but I'm sure in the future it will get better and better. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson. Let's listen now to the third and final part.
In fact, ChatGPT can write professional emails, expert-like essays on nearly any topic, and even poetry. What's more, future versions may even be able to process any images included with a request. These amazing capabilities make it nothing less than a revolutionary step forward for language-generating AI. But like many other revolutionary technologies, ChatGPT has caused both wonder and worry since its release in November 2022.
第三部分，我们看到名词 capability 这个字的意思是能力或才能或性能。例如 Only a few countries have the capability to put satellites in space. 只有几个国家有发射卫星至太空的能力。或是 These days, smartphones have many advanced capabilities. 现今的智慧手机拥有许多先进的性能。最后，补充这个字的形容词 capable, C-A-P-A-B-L-E, capable, 它是指有能力的、胜任的。例如 Edward isn't capable of running the store by himself yet. Edward 还没有能力独自经营这家店。又或者说 Patrick thinks that his son is a very capable young man. Patrick 认为他儿子是个很有能力的年轻人。
So in the last part, we mentioned that ChatGPT is getting better and better, and it can give extremely impressive responses to almost any request. Well, what are some of these requests? In fact, ChatGPT can write professional emails, expert-like essays on nearly any topic, and even poetry. So here are just a few examples of what ChatGPT can do.
Yep, indeed. It can write professional emails if you work in a company. It can write expert-like essays if you're in university and trying to write a term paper or something like that. And it can even write poetry, which makes me think it might even write words for songs. And then using other forms of AI, we might actually have hit songs on the radio that weren't actually made by people at all. And what's more, or in addition, future versions may even be able to process any images included with a request. And that's all a part of the visual aspect of ChatGPT. We're talking about the writing or the written form of this program. But in the future, in future versions or future kinds of this particular program, it might actually produce some images that are included with a request. It might actually provide images to illustrate your article.
Right, so here we have the phrase what's more, which basically means in addition. If you want to add something to what's already been said, you can say in addition, or you can say what's more, which is slightly more colloquial than in addition. So, what's more, future versions may be able to do even more improved things. Here, the word version means a form of something that is different from something that came before it. So I could say that the newest version of the smartphone, of the Apple smartphone, has many features such as an improved camera.
Exactly. Of course, there are different versions of software like Windows 95, Windows XP, etc. And nowadays, I think we have Windows 10. So those are all various versions of that program. And yes, indeed, they may be able to process any images if you make a request. And these amazing capabilities make it nothing less than a revolutionary step forward for language generating AI. So if you talk about capabilities, you talk about things that allow something to do something. We're talking about the things that this program can do. It does have these amazing capabilities, again, of producing emails, essays, and even poetry and stuff like that, and even some images to go along with the text. And here, of course, we've got the phrase nothing less than. That just means it is nothing but a revolutionary step. It's totally a revolutionary step forward, at least for language generating AI.
Right, and the word revolutionary refers to something that's new, that's completely changing the world, changing the way that things are done. For instance, I could say that scientists created a revolutionary new drug that can cure cancer. And if scientists and doctors indeed created such a drug that can cure cancer, that drug would be nothing less than revolutionary.
Okay, and we're moving on to the final sentence here. It says, but like many other revolutionary technologies, ChatGPT has caused both wonder and worry since its release just last year in November 2022. So yes, we get these revolutionary technologies, but then of course people are worried about it. It sounds like it's really good on the surface, but it may have some problems as well. It's caused both wonder and worry. So again, people think it's really great, but at the same time, they're worried that it might take jobs away from people, or people won't get the proper education in university because they rely on this to write their papers. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第3部分的最后一句提到 ChatGPT has caused both wonder and worry since its release in November 2022。 好，自从2022年11月推出以来， ChatGPT 同时既引起了惊奇也引发了担忧。那这边我们要来整理 since 的不同词性用法。首先第一个用法是 since 它可以当副词，表示此后或是从此。举例来说 They moved to 花莲 5 years ago and have lived there since。 他们5年前搬到花莲，从此就住在那里。好，那么第二个 since 它可以当连接词来引导原因子句，表达说因为啊既然的意思。像 They decided to go out for a walk since it was a nice day。 由于天气很好，他们决定出门散步。那第三个 since 可以做介系词或连接词来表达自从什么什么以来，后面是要接表示过去时间的名词或子句。好，那它的主要子句常常是搭配现在完成式来使用，像课文它是用 has caused 什么什么，然后 since its release in November 2022。 好，那我们也来造个例句。We've been here since 7 a.m. 我们从早上7点就一直在这里了。好，那这边我们也来补充一下这个现在完成式跟现在完成进行式。现在完成式它的形式是 have 加过去分词 PP， 那这个时态是用来表达某个动作或状态到现在为止已持续或存在一段时间。那可以搭配 for 加一段时间，也可以搭配 since 加上过去某个时间点的名词或子句。举例来说They have known each other for a long time. 他们认识彼此很久了。这边是搭配 for 加一段时间。They have known each other since they were in kindergarten. 他们从幼稚园时就认识彼此了。这边是搭配 since 加一个子句。 好，那么现在完成进行式的形式则是 have been 加上动词 ing。 那这个是表达说某个动作或状态从过去开始一直延续到现在还没结束哦，强调仍然持续进行中，也就是一直在做某事的那种意思。那它同样可以搭配 for 加一段时间，或者是搭配 since 加过去某个时间点的名词或子句。举例来说，Jenny has been reading the novel for hours. Jenny 一直在看那本小说，已经看了好几个小时，这表示她到现在都还在持续在看哦。那这边搭配 for hours 就是用 for 加一段时间。Jenny has been reading the novel since this morning. Jenny 从今天早上就一直在看那本小说，那这边是用 since 搭配一个过去时间点的这个名词 since this morning， 表示说从早上到现在她都持续还在看。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Generate. The chemical reaction generated a lot of heat and smoke. Enable. The new computers will enable the company's employees to work more efficiently. Predict. By analyzing past trends, we can predict future market changes. Feedback. Receiving helpful feedback can help you improve your performance at work. Version. The latest version of this software is superior to all previous versions. Capability. This new computer has the capability to process large amounts of data in real time. Revolutionary. The car uses revolutionary battery technology.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoy reading along with us. I am Helen.
I am Roger.
See you next time.